13 million cedis owed the Electricity Company of Ghana to avoid disconnection.
Also tonight, Opposition National Democratic Congress criticizes government for failing to restore the economy after COVID-19 pandemic, as promised by President Akufo-Addo.
Also in the news, government promises to support Ketia market fire victims after investigations revealed that unattended cooking from a gas cylinder explosion caused the fire.
In business news, Cocoa Board intercepts over 1,500 bags of cocoa being smuggled to other countries.
On the foreign front, Sri Lanka secures a $2.9 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund. Details of all these stories and more. Do get interactive with us on the many stories we have for you this evening. Business, sports, entertainment all lined up. It's a packed bulletin. Right, so we are starting with issues regarding electricity and tariffs, because the Electricity Company of Ghana has recovered some 8.5 million cedis out of 13 million cedis that was owed it by Parliament House, warning to take it off the national grid if Parliament fails to settle the outstanding debt. The power distribution company was also at the Ghana Airport Company on the first day of its debt recovery exercise. Judith Awachitando joined the task force and reports.
Out of the 57 billion Ghana cedis owed the Electricity Company of Ghana, it has today been able to recoup 18.5 million Ghana cedis through its national task force. Today, it thronged three different companies: Parliament House, which owes 13.5 million Ghana cedis, the Ghana Airport Company Limited, which owes 26 million Ghana cedis, and the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, which owes in excess of 5 million Ghana cedis. Out of these three companies, two of them have been able to pay a good amount of their debt, but they still have outstanding debts.
We have been going with them today. We visited Parliament House. They were owing about 13 million. They've committed to paying 8 million by close of the 8.5 million Ghana cedis. We saw evidence of that. And then we went to the Ghana Airports Company. They owed an arrears of 28 million Ghana cedis, of which they made 10 million Ghana cedis payments instant just when we got them. So we're giving them 48 hours to make the full payment. And now we're here at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. They also owe in arrears about 6 million Ghana cedis. And so they have explained to us that because of the way they run their operations, they wouldn't be able to cough out the money for us instantly.
The ECG, however, says the amount collected is insufficient.
It is not satisfying at all, but I believe I've actually received pictures of the staff on the ground, because it's a whole all hands on deck approach we're using. So in Tema, we've received photos of disconnections happening in residences. We've received photos of them visiting some of the industry in Tema, and they are being disconnected. I am hoping that by the end of the day, we should be able to see a lot of money coming into our account.
While the company urges customers to settle their debts, it has warned to cut electricity supply to these companies if they default the payment of the outstanding debts.
I've heard a lot of people saying that they are not being given the bill, and that is the reason why they are not making the payment. But you are consuming the electricity. You know how much you spend on an average every month. And so when you make that effort, and it's even easier for you, you don't accumulate it. We've been given permission to leave them for now for 48 hours. We need to see some movement on that 6 million Ghana cedi debt.
The exercise, which will last 1 month, targets domestic users, businesses, organizations, ministries, departments and state agencies for power already consumed from 2022 to February this year. Consequently, the company is temporarily closing down all its administrative offices to deploy its staff on the field during the month-long exercise. Judith Awachitando, TV3 News.
Let's now go to Ada, where 3 children who perished in Saturday's boat disaster have been buried today. 5 people are reported dead from an unspecified number of people who were believed to be on board. Recovery mission led by the Navy has also been called off. My colleague Armstrong Gold Alodbe is in Ada and joins me live on air. Thank you so much for your time, Armstrong. What have you picked up so far since you arrived?
Capsized, leading to the death of some 5 people. Today, about 3 of those who died have been released to the various families for burial, and that include 1.5-year-old child and also one other child that was just 2 months old. We are fortunate to have here with us their parents, all 3 of them. And first of all, I have here Mabel, whose child was just 2 months old, and then also we have Gloria that also lost her child, that is 1.5-month-old child, and then Simon also lost a child and a wife. And that is what it is now. I'm going to speak to them and find out what exactly has been going through their head, whether they've learned some lessons through the accident that happened here. So, first of all, let me start with you, Mabel. Mabel, what judge bo alumaturo Mabel, mo judge bo. Many times la wo gbogbo hanye.
Around 12:30 to 1.
Around 12:32.
1.
Mina denye ke mahanye kaje nadmo alo kaje assembly semi.
Na bahio adowo no ko webu se kusia la bahawo. Na sembro ba ke PPB okumela ba. Na ke honorable Sarah Dugbakin pobile demeke abahawo kusie sele nchebe. Adowo ke mono ne waya police station ke district hospital. Nje fit copy. Ni wabawo jukume mama wane le wawo jukume se adowo ke amahawo noko bon le aji
Kolomono nye punjukume eton kla.
Ope.
Yeah, so she said the bodies were released for them around 12:30 today, and the NADMO and also some people from the assembly came in to, sympathize with them, but they've not been promised to be given anything. But let's talk to this young man who also lost a wife and a child, and as it stands right now, he says he's afraid to even go back home to sleep in the room because he lives very close to the river, and anytime he enters, he feels the wife is there trying to communicate with him. So momono oya obio okay janime.
1.5.
Mojaji one oh you one
23 years.
23 years. Klopi oni egbopi oni awojuku amo o apojuku. Ngenye bi kenye kasino ko kajeni ni yanonge panolo.
Wakaseni.
Mini nyekasi.
Nino wakaseji. Ka eko.
Okay. So he's unable to speak up. He lost 2. He lost 2 of his people, a wife and a child, and he has been trying to be strong. But the painful aspect of it is that he cannot even sleep in his own room now because he fears the wife will come visiting him at night, and he was begging people to come and share the bed with him. So that's how bad the situation here is now. But one thing he told me when we got to Adan here is that the lesson is that government must ensure that any person that plies the water lake must be in life jackets, because what has happened to him, he thought it was a joke. In the past, the assembly used to educate them to be in life jacket, but today he understands the need for wearing a life jacket on the water lake. And then now we have here with us Gloria, who also lost a child. Gloria, so Gloria also received her child today for burial, and so all 3 of them standing with me have successfully buried their child. What is next now is the 2 adults that also lost their life on that day, and we are told that some rituals need to be performed before the bodies will be released for the various family. As it stands right now, tomorrow we are told that the boat operator that led this accident to happen will appear appear before court tomorrow, and then after tomorrow we'll know whether he will be pronounced guilty or not guilty. And also these three people, they are calling on the General Assembly to come to their aid and if can support them with something little, because well, this young man says the wife is the one who does everything for him, but now that she's gone, he's just thinking of what to do to survive as an individual. So basically that is what is happening here at Ada now. Over to you in the studios.
So unfortunate. Thank you so much for your time, Joseph Armstrong, reporting live from Adam.
Very sad development there, but let's do politics now on News 360. The chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Esidu Nketia, says that President Akufo-Addo does not appreciate the hardship Ghanaians are facing. Delivering what the NDC party terms the true state of the nation address in Accra, Johnson Esidu Nketia says that the president cannot continue blaming COVID-19 and the Russian-Ukraine war for the collapse of the Ghanaian economy.
The true state of the nation is when a ball of kenke, which used to sell between 50 pesos and 1 cedi in December 2016, is now being sold for between 4 cedis and 5 cedis. The true state of Ghana is that a sack of maize, which used to sell for 170 cedis in 2016, is now being sold for 900 cedis as at February 2023. A tuber of yam, which used to sell for 5 cedis, is now being sold for 25 cedis, selling for 20 cedis. When everything is said and done, this is the true state of our nation, Ghana. This is our everyday reality. A reality in which babies do not have vaccines, leading to a measles outbreak. The youth do not have jobs. The middle class faces imminent extinction. The elderly are being deprived of their life savings by the very government that swore to protect them. This is not the Ghana we deserve. The NDC shall not be complicit in this mess. We are determined to work assiduously with the Ghanaian people through our superior patriotic policy alternatives and impressive track record to rescue our dear nation from the abyss.
He urged the president to sanction corrupt officials and be honest about the true state of the nation.
A nation where journalists who unearth corruption are harassed, intimidated, and sometimes murdered, the Ahmed Swalis of this world. A nation where members of parliament who diligently carry out their constitutional mandate of oversight and expose crimes are persecuted, the Samuel Okujato, Ablakwas, and Atoforsons of this world. And a nation where those who fight corruption are fought back and are even described as terrorists by the courts. The Anas Arimeyao Anas of this world. Ghanaians have come to realize that the claim by the president that he knew how to revive a dead economy was a scam. There will be no haircuts was a scam. The promise to build 88 district hospitals within a year was a scam. Agenda 111 project was a scam. The promise to abolish road tolls was a scam. The promise to convert toll booths into modern, ultra-modern public toilets on our highways was a scam. President Akufo-Addo's silence on corruption in his infamous address was very loud. It was as loud as his guilt. Evidently, corruption has defeated his family and friends' government. Instead of confronting this canker head-on, President Akufo-Addo has constituted himself into a corruption clearing agent, ever willing to whitewash himself and any of his appointees who dabble in corruption, even before investigative processes commence.
Meanwhile, the National Democratic Congress is demanding the immediate dismissal of persons it's described as redundant hangers-on at the Flagstaff House, delivering an address in Accra in which he termed as the true state of the nation. Party Chairman Johnson Isiedun Ketia says the country's economy is saddled with corruption and the large government size is also having a toll on the public purse.
Further evidence of the waste of scarce resources can be seen in the many needless political appointees at the presidency. In the midst of the worst economic crisis in living memory, the president continues to make ridiculous and superfluous appointments at the presidency, such as Youth Ambassador for Diaspora Affairs, Policy Associate, Chief Executive of Public Sector Reforms, Overseer of the National Cathedral, Church Relations Manager, Diaspora Church Mobilization Officer, Policy and Coordinator Analyst, Focal Person, La Francophonie, Director of Special Projects, Manager of Operations and Programs, 5 Technical Communication Assistants, 2 Technical Advisors, Special Development Initiative Secretariat, Technical Advisor, Political Affairs, Technical Director to the Presidential Advisor on Media. Enough of this disaster of a government that continues to waste the already battered public purse with reckless abandon. We demand an immediate dismissal of these redundant hangers-on at the presidency.
He said the NDC will engage all stakeholders to fashion out a viable and sustainable alternative strategy to save the economy and the country's democracy.
It is obvious that President Akufo-Addo, who continues to reveal in the largesse of high office, does not appreciate the present-day reality of the Ghanaian people. The president continues to live in his own world, far removed from yours and mine, that he fails or neglects to appreciate the true state of the nation. It is absolutely important to awaken President Akufo-Addo and the ruling MPP to the uncomfortable but frank true state of Ghana today.
And that's the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress. Let's go to the other side of the party, this time around to a flag-bearer hopeful, John Dramani Mahama, former president. He has repeated his promise to complete all abandoned and ongoing projects should he go on to win the 2024 general elections. In an exclusive interview with TV3's William Evans Inkum, Mr. Mahama said that his government will also be all-inclusive.
Massive show of support right from day one till now. It's going to leave you some nostalgic feelings, I'm sure.
And we're not done. We still have today. We have 6 constituencies to go. And so we just want to round it off. But this is just phase 1. We'll come back for phase 2. A
massive and huge statement you made at Amustech, that is, you are going to continue all projects left behind when you win 2025.
Yes.
Somebody will ask, with this fiscal space, where are you going to get the money?
Actually, that's a reasonable thing to do. What I said was that we'll not be in a hurry to start new projects. And rather what we should do is to harness the little resources we have to complete ongoing and abandoned projects. Because the fiscal space we will inherit in 2025 is going to be very small.
There's despair. I mean, we're looking at the current economic situation. Your Excellency, are you the hope for Ghanaians?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm the hope. It's like a messiah. I don't have those spiritual connotations. But Ghana has given me much. It's given me a lot of experience. I've worked in various levels of leadership. And I think that at this time of crisis, the experience that I've garnered, I should put at the service of my nation. And so we're going to go for elections and the people of Ghana will decide. But I do think that Ghana is a country that of our birth, we have no other country, and all of us must come together and work to put it back on its feet. Unfortunately, this government has been very exclusive not wanting to bring in expertise from others. When we come, it's going to be different. We're going to involve everybody in the governance of this country. The CSOs, we're going to take ideas from everybody in order to put our country back on its feet.
All right. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Let's remain in the Ashanti region, where an explosion caused by an unattended cooking gas cylinder has been identified to be the cause of Wednesday's KGTR market fire. Vice President Dr. Baumia, who described the incident as unfortunate, assured affected traders of government support.
Mibisa fire service for any NADMO for say Ebana saying.
I asked the fire service the cause of the fire, and they explained that their investigation led to a cooking gas explosion as the cause. Someone was cooking her food in her shop and left it to attend to something else outside the market. That was where the fire started, and close to that place, traders deal in chemicals such as carbide, turpentine, and even gunpowder. That is how come the fire started with the explosions and quickly spread to the other shops.
Chemicals, carbide, turpentine, any gunpowder, Entina, Ejano, Esheasi, Muhu say explosion so eba.
The visit by the Vice President to assess the extent of damage and console affected traders brought some kind of relief to the traders.
Minim say Munyina adia hamon say munye juma because yatum.
I know your concern has to do with closure of the facility. I've had an extensive discussion with the fire service and they've ruled out electrical fault as the cause of the fire. So the market will be open for trading tomorrow. I have spoken with the president and the assurance is that the affected victims will be supported.
I'm very much grateful to the government because even for the last 4 days, our majority of our people were complaining of hardships. So it's good news to the traders and we are happy to the government.
Prior to the intervention by Dr. Baumia, traders mounted fierce resistance to management decision to extend the shutdown of the facility to 1 more week.
3 days.
We agreed to the 3-day shutdown, and now they are telling us to go home for another week. We won't agree to this. Less than 1% of the market was burnt, so why should the entire facility be shut down?
We can't stay home for a week. Management is taking us for granted. The facility was shut down since Wednesday. Today we came to trade and management is asking us to return home. We are not ready to comply with the extension.
Going forward, leadership of the traders have resolved to intensify monitoring and not allow members to cook in the market. Trading activity is expected to resume in the market on Tuesday, March 21. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
And we are moving straight from Kumasi to the Western Regional Capital of Takoradi, where potable water supply to Sekondi, Takoradi and its environs has worsened as Galamsey activities of the Pra River and dry weather take their toll. Ahead of the World Water Day on Wednesday, March 22, the Ghana Water Company Limited has taken some journalists on a facility visit of its Daboase water treatment plant to see firsthand their challenges. Rama Smith has more.
There are places even within Takoradi North and Takoradi South who are still not getting water, even though we are rationing. Why? Because the level at this time is so low that we are not able to get the 7 million gallons of water I'm talking about. We are able to produce an average of 2.8 million gallons of water. That is Daboase, which is supposed to give us 4.5 maximum. Nchaban gives us a maximum of 2.5. Nchaban currently is doing just about 1.5, sometimes 1.4. So if we put the two plants combined, we are not getting more than 4 million gallons of water. So this is the challenge that we are facing.
For about 5 years now, residents of Sekondi, Takoradi and its environs have been experiencing water rationing. because the water that is being gathered at here, the Daboase water treatment plant and the Ntraban water treatment plant together is not enough to service the 15 million gallons demand daily for these communities.
The situation we are dealing with is that we are not able to abstract the adequate amount of water that we need for residents of Sekondi and Takoradi metropolis.
As you can see behind me, the water is very, very low, and Galamsey activities have also made the water very, very muddy, and siltation has taken place so much that the company spends so much to treat this water. Initially, the chemical alum was used to treat this water for consumption. But to understand, because of Galamsey activities, this is not even good enough.
The quality of the water is so bad, is so deteriorated that we need to use a new chemical called polyelectrolyte. That polyelectrolyte is 4 times more expensive than aluminum sulfate, which is alum. So Ghana Water Company is spending so much money on treatment chemicals because of pollution by Galamsey on the Pra River.
In November 2020, Senior Minister Yao Osafo-Maafo was here to catch sword for a bigger treatment plant which will act as a panacea to some of these challenges. We understand that in May 2022, work commenced. It is the hope that within 40 months, that's the time allocated for the completion of this project, it would indeed be completed so that this problem will be solved.
The other option would be to build a new treatment plant, which by the grace of God and with the help of government, we have started. So we are hoping that if all things go well, by the end of 2025, we should be able to finish that new treatment plant.
But the question is, with Ghana's debt restructuring program, will this even be possible? Irama Smith, TV3 News, Daboase.
A 1.5 billion cedi stability support fund to provide liquidity support services to financial institutions which participated in the domestic debt exchange program has been established. A Deputy Finance Minister, Abena Say Asari, who made this known, noted the Finance Minister's engagement with China will also positively impact Ghana's quest to secure an IMF bailout to shore up the economy.
Government is prioritizing 3 critical items. One is to successfully negotiate a strong IMF program. The second is also to coordinate an equitable debt operation program. And last, to attract significant green investments and to help us in the recovery. And we all know that the country has reached a staff-level agreement with the IMF negotiations. And there are a few prior action programs that we need to set in motion. Once we are done with that, we believe that we can go to the board. These programs are the 3 revenue measures that are still with Parliament for Parliament to pass, and also we get in some form of financial assurance from our bilateral partners as well as China. It is important to indicate that government has initiated some steps to set up our 1.5 billion Ghana Financial Stability Fund to provide liquidity and solvency support to adversely affected financial institutions that participated fully in the domestic exchange program. The World Bank has already committed about 300 million, and we expect our bilateral partners, including the USA, to also support us in this, to help bring back the robustness that our economy had, and also to support our financial institutions. As I speak with you now, the minister is on his way to China, and we believe that there's going to be some fruitful discussions which will result in positive outcomes.
Pepsodent Ghana has launched a global campaign to encourage people to take steps to improve their oral health with free teledental consultation. The initiative is set to give over 200 million people the opportunity to access professional dentist advice for free through its teledentistry service.
The initiative, dubbed Now Everyone Can Talk to a Dentist, is also to mark this year's World Oral Health Day. Anyone could get connected with dentists in real time via the mobile phone device using direct links.
For us as Pepsodent, being the leading oral care brand in Ghana, we have to be at the forefront of making sure that Ghanaians are aware of the importance of keeping good oral hygiene and health. And for us, it's also an opportunity to show our consumers that we care. And we care about not just their teeth, but their entire oral health and how it affects their general well-being.
The president of the Ghana Dental Association, Dr. Papa Popolampo, noted that oral health must be available, accessible and affordable to people at all times.
We realize that this campaign of seeing the dentist and talking to a dentist is meant to inspire an attitudinal change that will help you to take part in responsibility of keeping your oral health. And it's also meant to motivate that action of the habit of brushing day and night. And it goes further to sustain that good habit for you to have a good health.
Pepsodent, in addition, is collaborating with the Ghana Dental Association and the Health Ministry to carry out community outreach programs aimed at promoting good oral hygiene practice.
Thank you very much.
We have business news coming up shortly. Don't go away. Hello again. It's now time for the latest in the world of business. Ghana Cocoa Board has intercepted over 1,500 bags of cocoa being smuggled to other countries. In collaboration with the security agencies, the Anti-Smuggling Task Force of Cocoa Board said the smuggled goods were intercepted in the Greater Accra, Western North and Volta regions. Head of Public Affairs at Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafos, says Cocoa Board will reward informants with 2/3 of the value of any cocoa intercepted moving forward.
The exercise happened in the space of 2 weeks. 3 separate arrests were made. In the Greater Accra region, the Mamprobi Police Unit intercepted 508 bags of standard cocoa beans and 72 bags of cocoa waste beans, which are transported from Sehibekwai upon a tip-off, according to the head of Public Affairs at Cocoa Board, Fifi Boafo. Some other several arrests have been made and prosecutions are ongoing.
The law stipulates that persons who are involved or engaged in this business when arrested are to be sentenced into a prison term no less than 5 years. So we are working on that. The sad aspect of this whole conversation is that the beneficiaries of this enterprise are not the farmers, it is not Cocoa Board. These are private individuals who are only out there to make money for themselves to the detriment of the states as well as the farmers who are involved in this cocoa business.
The other bags intercepted included 511 bags of good cocoa beans, which weighed 64 kg per bag, 123 bags of waste cocoa beans weighing 50 kg per bag, and 406 bags of cocoa beans. Cocoa Board looks forward to public support to clamp down on the illegal activity. It intends to reward any informant who brings information on smuggling activities within the cocoa industry.
Informants who help in the arrest of the cocoa, 2/3 of the value. So, for example, someone who helped in arresting 600 bags of cocoa, you multiply 600 by 800 Ghana cedis, and that's 480,000 Ghana cedis, and you get 2/3 out of it, and that's for you for helping as an informant or the security agencies who help in arresting these people.
Ghana's quest for a $3 billion IMF bailout hinges hugely on the country's ability to successfully restructure its domestic and external debts. But the posture of Ghana's biggest creditor, China, is worrying. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has to dive deep into his reserves as he travels to China for some discussions.
Ghana's domestic debts have been successfully restructured. However, some analysts have raised concerns that the gains made from the domestic debt exchange exercise could be eroded as government continues to borrow from the local market. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has left Accra for China to begin negotiations on a possible external debt restructuring program with Chinese officials. External debt restructure is one of the conditionalities for the $3 billion IMF bailout. The minister left over the weekend via Addis Ababa, where he is attending the UNECA high-level ministers' meeting on global financial architecture. 3 business sources say Ken Ofori-Atta is expected to head to China after the UNECA high-level ministers' meeting. Ken Ofori-Atta, who is leading the government's delegation, is expected to continue bilateral talks with China as well as seek financial assurances for Ghana's program with the International Monetary Fund. The trip was postponed to the end of March because it coincided with the National People's Congress of China meeting in early March 2023. Government sources maintain that the finance minister's visit to China marks a step closer to a board approval by the IMF.
In more news tonight, a lecturer at the Department of Banking and Finance at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, Dr. Jabiru Mohammed, says the April target to secure an IMF bailout may have to be extended. He notes government has to balance its acts in order to bring it out of the economic brink.
Currently stands, China and India are the major stakeholders when it comes to our bilateral debt. For instance, we have about $5.5 billion outstanding, and China alone is holding close to 31 point something percent, which is about $1.7 billion. So before the agreement can be reached, then it means that China, which is holding the largest debt, will have to agree, so that when they agree, then the other Paris Club can follow. And China is looking at whether, if they agree, the other 4.5 billion, will they also agree to that, so that that can be properly restructured to assist Ghana reach the IMF program. The April deadline, just like we did for the domestic one, if it is not feasible, there is a need for extension. By then, if it is extended, are you likely going to affect the IMF deal? That is now the question. So we have to look at it and ensure that we are able to balance the equation in such a way that it does not affect our program with the IMF.
And that's it for the latest in the world of business news. We have sports news coming up shortly. Don't go away.
Welcome back to News 360. Time now for sports. Therinyan is with us. What's going on in sports?
Of course, the biggest is Chris Hughting, unveiled. We all knew he was the head coach anyway. But yeah, he's been unveiled, and we've heard him speak for the first time as the head coach. Really insightful, I must say. Okay. Anyway, let's get into details there. And Chris Hughting earlier today was unveiled to Ghanaians in Kumasi and addressed a number of issues ahead of Ghana's doubleheader against Angola. 3 Sports' Oriu Kwampofo reveals his 3 key takeaways from Chris Hughting's unveiling.
To the first point, and Chris Hughting, he's happy with the length of contract that's been given to him, 21 months to really make an impact with the Black Stars. And according to him, he believes that his success would be based on 3 steps. The first step is the short term, where he has to win the immediate games against Angola, that's the doubleheader. In the medium term, he's looking to perform well at major tournaments like the AFCON. And then in the long term, he wants to be able to develop players in the national team and also bring an identity. So he does have a process and is looking long term, and that brings me to my second term, that although he's looking ahead and wants to have that lasting impact, he also believes that the team needs to win and win now, because that's the only way that he can bring in credit in the bank for the Black Stars to ensure that he stays with the team. Now, he says that he wants to build a team with a winning mentality, and even though the playing style may alter from being offensive and defensive, trying to find a balance, at the end of the day, the team has to find a way of winning matches. But he is not guaranteeing trophies. That's one thing that he stated emphatically, that no person can guarantee anything in football. But what he can assure Ghanaians is that they'll work their way towards including the technical team, the players, to make sure that they give their best possible fight for the trophy. Now to the final point, which is a bit of football. I think that Chris Hughting demonstrated that he's a good communicator, especially at the presser. When you look at his posture, he looked like a man who is calm and collected. For someone coming into the country, you know, the new culture settling in and all that, he showed composure in terms of answering these questions. And he was even able to turn bad questions into good questions through the way that he answers it. And my favorite part from the press conference was how he was able to answer questions about his late dad with that amount of composure. So everything looks good at the moment for Chris Hughton, from the squad announcement to the press conference. The next big test for the 64-year-old is Angola, who travel to the Baba Yara Sports Stadium on Thursday.
Of course, Chris Hughton becomes the head coach officially presented to Ghanaians. But he joins a list of, other coaches that have come through. Of course, Avram Grant, we all know him for how he led the Black Stars to the 2015 AFCON final. Kwesi Appiah has been in and out, sometimes as a deputy, sometimes as the substantive. And then we have Siki Akono, a former Black Star player, became the head coach. And then Milovan Rajovac, his return was a bit disastrous, cut short after last year's Africa Cup of Nations, and then Otuado, who led us to the World Cup in Qatar, and then exited in the group stage. And then now we have the main man, that is Chris Hughton. But Chris Hughton has addressed concerns about Mohamed Kudus's role at the Black Stars in his unveiling earlier today. While many view him as a number 10 with the national team, Hughton has a different view.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Entertainment News segment here on News 360. My name is Noella. Now, Isono, an all-new drama series, premieres at 8 p.m. tonight on TV3 for the general public. Now, earlier this evening, and as we speak, a selected few have had the opportunity to preview the series at the Central Hotel, and my colleague is on the grounds to give us all the updates on the event. So, right about now, I'll be handing over to Anita Ekufu to give us all the highlights of the preview happening right now. Hello, Anita.
Tonight, it's all about Isono's written story that I think relates to everybody. Right here on TV3. But before that, we're right here at the Central Hotel where we're having an exclusive preview of the telenovela right here with some fans and also viewers of TV3. And so 3 Entertainment, we're bringing you some exclusives with people who have had a first-hand experience of what the telenovela or the series looks like. But if you're wondering how it's going to be for the next couple of weeks on Isono, which I'm very excited about, by the way, joining me tonight, Miriam Osea Jiman, who is the head of programs at 3 groups. Miriam, kindly come closer. For our viewers who are wondering how it's going to be like for the next couple of weeks, what is Isono about?
I mean, looking around, it just tells you how captivating the storyline is. There's a lot of suspense. There's a lot of moments where you're at the edge of your seat and all of that. And like you said, for the next 3 months and more, we will be entertaining you in your homes from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. prime time. You don't want to miss Isono.
And which days is it going to run?
That's from Monday to Thursday.
But can you give us just a little, story, background of what people should expect? Give them some teasers.
So the things I'm very excited about Isono that I'm tempted to hold back when I'm talking about it, else I give everything away. But it really does examine the mask that we wear. We have people in society who project a certain image to the public, but behind that mask, it's, something else. But in Isono, it gets really, really dirty and very deadly.
I love the sound of that. It gets dirty and very deadly. Also, thank you so much, Miriam. Joining me is a very known face when it comes to the blogging space, GH Kweku. Tonight you're here with us. What are you expecting when it comes to Isono?
So far I've seen small of what they are showing here. Isono is actually a popular series that, so far what I've seen, I'm loving it. I love the suspense, so much drama, and I'm sure I'm here to report on it also for my viewers, my followers to also see what they are missing, so that's.
And we're glad to have you here, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. A nice one. Thank you so much, Kweku. Joining me, we have some more people here. Hi, darling.
And so that's still ongoing, but at 8 p.m. right after this bulletin, Isono goes live. So make sure you stay glued to your TV sets for the all-new drama series. And that's how we wrap up on entertainment here on News 360. My name is Noella.
Sri Lanka has secured a $2.9 billion bailout from the International Monetary Fund as it faces its worst economic crisis since independence. The deal has been nearly a year in the making and a lifeline for the country that has billions of dollars in loans. Foreign Minister Ali Sabri told the BBC the government will raise funds by restructuring state-owned enterprises and privatizing the national airline. However, analysts warn Sri Lanka still faces a tough road ahead. The country's economy has been hit hard by the pandemic, rising energy prices, and populist tax cuts and inflation of more than 50%.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to a close. Thank you so much for staying with us for the last hour. My name is Martin Esiedudate.
And I am Portia Gabo. Up next is
Isono. So make a date, stay tuned, enjoy.